Hey guys, what's up? Filming today's video on the floor to keep it super casual. I honestly didn't think that I would film a video on my Invisalign journey, but it was so highly requested from you guys that I gotta give the people what they want, obviously. When I was younger, I was lucky enough to go through 2 phases of braces. And of course, I never wore my aligners after I finished. Dang it, if there was one thing I would change, it would be that. I wouldn't have been in this position. My teeth, of course, started shifting a lot over the years, especially my bottom teeth. So it was about 9 years ago when I started looking into Invisalign, and in January 2020 is when I started looking into places again to actually be serious about it, because I feel like the last few years in particular, I've noticed that my top teeth have started shifting quite a bit and like crowding one another, and that was it for me, sis. I needed to buckle down, I needed to be serious of it. But of course, after my appointment in January, COVID hit, I delayed, and then bam, summer hit, and I was just like, okay, this is actually the perfect year to do this. So I committed to it because at that point, the pandemic was here to stay, unfortunately. I was already working from home for, 5 months at that point, and I was not going back anytime soon. We were all wearing masks, and it was just honestly the perfect timing. And now, about 7.5 months later, we are here, and we are done, baby. I cannot be more excited. I was really dragging this last month, but by far, this has been the best decision that I have made. So that's a little bit of a backstory. So let's chat about my journey, and I'll give you all the details about Invisalign, at least from my point of view, and I'll be as honest as possible, as always. So let's start at the beginning, square one. What do you do when you're interested in Invisalign? You start researching. Where do you want to go? Who do you want to do this for you? So in January 2020, that's initially when I started doing all the research for it. So I compared doing it with my dentist. I started looking at orthodontists as well. I visited about 3 or 4 different ones just to kind of like compare. I of course had my full list. You guys know I'm a data-driven person. Like I like to compare, I like to contrast, I like to have all the data in front of me and make the most informed decision based off of, you know, the answers that I get from everyone. So for me, I felt it was best to go with an orthodontist. So the one I found in January 2020 is the one I ended up going with. So how you essentially begin this process is you go in and they take scans and pics and x-rays of your teeth. They send it into Invisalign, and X amount of weeks later, in my case it was 6 weeks later because it was in the middle of the pandemic. So I went in, they gave me all my aligners up front. They gave me this welcome kit of like a few things that I might possibly need. This scan box, which I'll talk about in a little bit. They put my attachments on, which I will also talk about in a little bit. And then my journey officially began. So this scan box, instead of going into the office every whatever cadence that they decide for you, it could be every couple weeks, it could be every couple of months, whatever it may be. Instead of going into the office, they set me up with a scan box and an app where essentially every time I was ready to move on to the next set of aligners, I would pull out the scan box at home and I would take pictures of my teeth and then send it in for review before I move on to the next set of aligners. They usually got back in about 8 hours, so they never really held me back from aligners. And if I didn't hear back from them, which was never the case, but in my head I was planning on, if I didn't hear back from them, I would still move on to the next set of aligners, and if they said something different, then I would just take them out and go back to the last set that I was already on. So with these damn aligners, you have to wear them 22 hours a day. You guys, only 2 hours of freedom every single day. That was a really hard thing to get used to. But with my aligners, I switched out my aligners every 2 weeks, and then after about 2 months, they switched that to every 10 days of switching aligners because I was tracking really, really well. They were just going to speed up the progression of my treatment. Before we dive in a little bit deeper, let's just chat about price. So I do live in Seattle, which is a huge metropolitan city. Prices here for anything are typically a little bit more expensive, whether it comes to dental things like Invisalign or other surgeries you might do, prices here are just a little bit more expensive. So the places that I went, it really ranged from I think $5,500 up to like $7,000 to do this treatment. What I also saw was that the cost of a dentist doing it versus an orthodontist was slightly different as well. So something to take into consideration. And I guess I didn't touch on this, but with the difference of like a dentist or an orthodontist obviously has a couple more years of experience than a dentist. Of course, having a dentist do this is very widely accepted. If you have a dentist that you want to do it with, do it. By no means am I saying not to, but for me, I just felt more comfortable having an orthodontist do it since this is like their specialty, and I just preferred them to track my treatment. So getting back to price, I spent $6,000 on my Invisalign treatment. I am lucky enough that my dental insurance was able to cover a portion of it, so my out-of-pocket expense, while still really expensive, was not $6,000, so thank God. My orthodontist set up a payment plan for me, no interest, so I went in that direction versus paying for everything up front. No way was I about to dish out that much money for Invisalign. If I could just do it over the course of the year with no interest, I mean, it was like a no-brainer for me. So anyways, let's get into the details of it. So at the beginning, and I think for a majority of it, as you guys would have been able to tell with my vlogs and such, because for these sit-down videos, I would usually take out the Invisalign, but for my vlogs, you guys would have probably been able to tell that I had a lisp. It was so hard at the beginning to get used to these things in my mouth and to be able to talk normally. It was really, really annoying. I had so much just like saliva as well. You guys are really getting to know me here. And I just felt like I wanted them out. Like, of course, it's like a foreign object in your mouth, but I just felt like it was taking up so much space. It was just getting so uncomfortable. So a few times I like panicked. I was like, I need these out. But that only lasted for the first couple of weeks, and then after that, like, I just got really used to them being in my mouth. I know I mentioned this at the beginning, but you have to wear them 22 hours a day. I was very obsessive about making sure that I was tracking how many hours I was wearing them, making sure that I was abiding by all the rules. I would legit like have a timer and count how long I was wearing them. And then of course, like the last 4 months, I super relaxed on all of that. But if you're not wearing them, then your teeth aren't shifting and progressing as they should be to be able to move on to the next set of aligners. And I definitely didn't want to get myself in a position where I wasn't progressing and moving on to the next set of aligners. Because if you're not doing that, then that's typically where you enter this state, which they call refinement, where luckily, fortunately, I did not have to get into this situation. But if you're not tracking, they sometimes have you come back in, take new scans, get new aligners. Obviously that whole process is a little bit more pricey as well. So I would just make sure that if you commit to doing Invisalign, you just commit to having to wear them 22 hours a day, as annoying as it might be. And I was very happy that I was not held back at all. I mean, could you imagine? So I know another big question around Invisalign is if they hurt. So for me, I would change my aligners at night to avoid any initial pain when you do first change aligners. But my teeth never hurt. It felt like maybe the first day after I switched, maybe even a day and a half, my teeth would feel a little sore, but never was it painful for me. So I feel like that's just a really good thing to distinguish between the two. I was never in pain with the aligners, which was amazing because thinking back to when I had braces, like that was painful. So I don't know if it's just because for me and the state my teeth were in when I started my Invisalign, I didn't have a terrible case. I had a very mild case and corrections that I needed to do. So while you'll see in the before and afters, I definitely had tons of moving, widening my bite, you know, shifting like all of my bottom teeth back in order. It just was never really painful for me. But of course, the tip that I said a second ago, I would highly use is just switch your aligners at night, and there will be minimal pain with the initial switching of every single aligner. Okay, so let's get into the things I found super annoying about Invisalign. I had no idea that I was going to have attachments on my teeth. And what attachments are is like, and I'm sure you guys saw them on me, is that they are these little teeth colored buttons that are put on your teeth to help your aligners like snap into place and also assist with the shifting of your teeth over the next months or years of your treatment. No one told me I was gonna have these attachments put on, and then the day I picked up my aligners, they put these attachments on and I go, whoa, 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 what are you putting on my teeth? Let alone getting attachments. I got like 7 little attachments on my teeth, and they put one on my front tooth. Oh, I was so mad about that, because the whole reason why I wanted to do Invisalign is because they're supposed to be invisible. Like if you take out your aligners, nobody is supposed to be able to know that you are going through some sort of orthodontic treatment. And having these attachments on, it's just like, come on, no matter if I have these in or out, people are gonna know that I'm doing some sort of orthodontic treatment with my teeth. So I found that very annoying because it was so noticeable. But luckily, I did start this treatment during this pandemic. So I feel like I definitely lucked out because I'm working from home. We're all wearing masks, like I was saying. So nobody really truly saw me with Invisalign, besides of course you guys, my vlogs, which is public, and apart from some friends and family, but no one from my office saw it. So I guess that was a little bit nice. But these bad boys are super high maintenance. I mean, every single time you eat or drink anything other than water, you're supposed to take them out, and then before you put them back in, you have to brush your teeth again and put them back in. So there were days that I was literally brushing my teeth probably like 6-7 times a day, which over time really adds up and just becomes super annoying to deal with. So while I was really good about that for the majority of my time, towards the end there, I legit would not brush my teeth before putting them back in, especially if I was at a restaurant. I don't recommend this. I'm just being brutally honest with you guys. But when I got home, I would brush my teeth and brush the aligners and put them back in. But I just didn't really want to fuss with brushing my teeth at a restaurant anymore. It was just too much sometimes, because even at the restaurant you'd have to take them out, so you'd either have to excuse yourself to go to the bathroom or just like secretly like take them out and make sure that no one was watching. So interesting things to deal with. And then of course when you're out and about, you have your case, you have like this little hook that helps assist you with taking your aligners out, you have your toothbrush, you have your toothpaste. So it was kind of like a big ordeal every single time you went out, you know? But as for liquids, luckily I really only drink water, so I never really had it to deal with taking out my aligners a lot to drink like coffee, tea, or anything like that. I never experienced any true discoloring of my aligners either, but they say that that can happen if you try to drink stuff with the aligners still in your mouth. Also, with eating, I am a huge snacker, massive snacker. And if you guys want to cut out on your eating, get Invisalign. It totally cut out snacking for me because I really didn't want to brush my teeth 6-7 times a day. So if like Juan was offering me something to eat, I was like, no, I have aligners in, I'll pass. So I found myself doing that a lot this whole time because I just really didn't want to deal with taking them in and out. So I really stuck to like my main meals of breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And during those meals, I had a lot of food. If you guys were interested in getting Invisalign, I'll leave down below a few things that I just could not live without during like this whole process. Of course, like when you get Invisalign, they give you a case, so you don't have to get one separately, but the little tool that I was talking about that helps to take out your aligners, I would highly recommend doing that. There's also these things called chewies, which helps to seat or put your aligners into position faster and easier. It's just like this little rubbery thing that you chew on and move it throughout your mouth. You do it like 10 minutes a day. It's super easy, but I would highly recommend that. And then of course a retainer cleaner. Man, even waking up in the morning, you don't think that your breath smells, but these aligners are smelly. So cleaning your aligners, and it helps to get rid of any like residue that's on your aligners too. So those are definitely a few things, but I'll leave down below all of my other recommendations as well. Where was I? My camera died. I had to switch out my battery. So for my overall treatment, I guess I'll just cut to the chase. Like I was saying it was 7.5 months. I think that they estimated that this was going to be about a year process, and I guess they never really clarified why it was so quick, but hey, I'm not complaining. It was 7.5 months long for me. I went through 19 trays. I started my treatment back in October 2020, and then I just finished. I'm picking up my retainers this next Wednesday, but as of right now, yeah, all the attachments and everything are off of my teeth. They've been off of my teeth for a couple of weeks now, and I've been instructed that I can wear my aligners about 14 hours a day right now. And basically at this stage, because I am only wearing them 14 hours a day, I am done, because when I get my retainers, which are still gonna look like Invisalign, they recommend that you wear it 12 to 14 hours a day, which is a little bit of a shock for me because I thought it was gonna be only like a night thing, so maybe like 8-9 hours a day. But I think it can be a little bit more flexible, especially if you're realizing that the retainers are getting a little tight. Just make sure you wear them more, and then your teeth will be fine and won't be shifted back to what it looked like before, obviously. So with my befores and afters, I'll put them on the screen for you guys, but it was wild when looking at my befores, or when I was beginning this process, because I didn't think that my teeth were that bad. Yes, my bottom teeth were very crooked, and I said that my top teeth were starting to shift and crowd a little bit, but I didn't think that they were that bad. And now looking at the afters, I cannot believe it. I am over the moon, so excited. I think the main things that I noticed is that I didn't realize all my teeth were like shifting sideways, and so this really helped to straighten out all of my teeth, especially my front two teeth. I was noticing that one was starting to come in front of the other, so that was fixed, and same with these two teeth next to my front two teeth. And then for the back, I'm very surprised that all of them got super straightened out. I didn't even know that that was going to be possible, so very, very happy to see that. So yeah, overall I am so excited. This whole process was 100% worth it to me. I'm so glad I finally took the plunge and decided to commit and do it. It's just one of those things in 2020 that I was so happy to have achieved, and especially because it was something that I was putting off for so many years, like 9 years. I am so happy to be done with it. Yes. I know everybody's experience with Invisalign is very different, but of course this is my experience and my journey. I really hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If you have any additional questions about Invisalign that I didn't cover, ask me down below. I'll be more than happy to answer any of your guys' questions. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you in a couple of days in my next video. Bye guys, love you.